Good afternoon, everyone. In today's video, we're going to do a deep data dive into the idea of triple witching Fridays. Specifically, we're going to look at 20 years worth of data, narrowing in only on the days in which we had this triple witching Fridays to get an idea of what we should be expecting headed into tomorrow. Now, for those that are unaware, triple witching Fridays are nothing more than the third Friday in 4 separate months. Now, those 4 months are March, June, September, which we have tomorrow, September 18th, and December. And so we're going to take a look at 20 years worth of data of all four of these months across the past 20 years. So in 2020 so far, we have the March date along with the June date, and we'll go all the way back to year 2000 to try and see if we can find some patterns here, some repeating themes, which helps us to build an idea of what we should expect tomorrow, along with the game plan on how to trade tomorrow. Now, for all of our Volatility Box members, we have the full Excel spreadsheet of this 20 years worth of data available here, tosindicators.com/triple witching Friday, in which you can download that data, play around with it yourself, apply your own formulas, try and see different patterns that you might be curious about, so on and so forth. All right, so let's dive a little bit more into the data. Here I have a scatter plot with all triple witching Fridays plotted, and this is using the percent change for our four major index markets. So this includes the SPY, the Qs, the Dow, and the Russell, and each one of these data points represents what we closed at on a percentage basis. Now, if we try and extrapolate this, just using your eyes here, just the first view that you see, you should notice that for the most part here, most of our data points, most of these dots right here, are contained inside of this plus or minus 1% zone. That's information right there, which we'll back up using data in the next slide as well. But what this is telling you is, for the most part, in the SPY, in the Qs, in the Dow, and in the Russell, we end the day relatively unchanged within a plus or minus 1% move. This is again comparing the close to the open on each one of these triple witching Fridays for all 4 months. Now, if we look at this data plotted a different way here, so we're going to use bins, this gives us some more concrete numbers where we're trying to find where we have the greatest histograms. This represents where we have the greatest number of scatter points fitting inside of each of the zones that are labeled right down here on the x-axis. So if you notice here, you'll see that this is really our first greatest bin, this is our second greatest bin, and this is our third greatest bin right here. If you take a look to see what that range looks like, that's anywhere between minus 0.68% all the way up to plus 0.82%, with this middle zone being between minus 0.18 to plus 0.32%, with a lot of zones actually ending in that plus or minus 0% zone, right? So if you ended the day up, say 0.32%, I think just to simplify things, you could argue that you basically ended relatively unchanged. And this is giving you data right here, letting you know that more times than not on triple witching Fridays across, again, all 4 months, you end the day relatively unchanged. Now that's, again, like I've stressed in the past couple minutes here, that's using all 4 months, so that's March, June, September, and December. Now let's narrow in and try and focus on just the months of September to try and see what typically happens just in this month. So now if we look at the same data again, but this time focusing only on the month of September here, you should notice something very similar, right? So again, in the month of September here, you'll notice plus or minus 1% encompasses most of our data points. We have an outlier here, you have an outlier here, you have one outlier here, which this was the Russell. Then outside of that, you have another outlier here, again, the Russell. And outside of that, we had negative outliers right here in the month of, I think this was 2001, which we'll talk about in just a second here, where you fell below that plus or minus 1% zone. Outside of that, however, everything else encompasses inside of this plus or minus 1% zone. So let's try and break this down further to try and see, are there any other patterns here? What do the outliers look like? What's the average look like? So on and so forth. So headed into the next slide here, this gives you all of the data points. So here on the left-hand side, I have a table of all September triple witching Fridays. And here you can see on a percentage basis what the moves look like on a percentage change sort of nomenclature, right? So you have the data for SPY, you have the data for the Qs, you have the data for the Dow, you have the data for the Russell. And if we try and simplify this into ways that we can understand this without needing to go through each and every single row here, you'll notice that for the SPY, on average, we closed plus 0.28%, on the Qs plus 0.23%, on the Dow plus 0.24%, and in the Russell a little bit higher, but still relatively negligible, right? Plus 0.53%, and this is focusing again just on the month of September. Now, if we take a look to try and find our outliers here, our minimum on the SPY was down 0.18%. On the Nasdaq, down 0.285%. On the Dow, down 0.344%. And on the Russell, this was the least, with it being down 0.156%. Now, if we take a look to see on the opposite side, what's the max move that we've seen on September triple witching Fridays going back to 2000. So this is September 15th, 2000. You'll see on the SPY, at most, you closed up plus 2%. On the Qs, up 1.99%. Really, you can round that up to 2. On the Dow, up 2.21%. So all three of these really around that 2% zone, right? And if you come to the Russell here, the Russell's the outlier here, up 5%, right? 4.97%. So the question starts to become, what do we do with this data and why are there some outliers here? So let's dive a little bit deeper into both the min and the max outliers on the next slide. So coming into the next slide here, now if we take a look at both sides of the outliers here, so this is both the min and the max, you'll notice that our min came on September 21st, 2001. This was a few days after September 11th, where we did have, just from a market standpoint, a good amount of volatility, which explains why we saw these minimum moves here as opposed to closing the day in that plus or minus 1% range zone. Now, if we take a look at our max, you'll notice that the max was in 2008. So both of these years should stand out for you. I'll let each of you kind of dive deeper into these dates. You can Google stock market September 21st, 2001, stock market September 19th, 2008 to understand a bit better of what actually took place on that day. Here's 2008, for example, where you see that Wall Street rallies as Washington moves to stem the financial crisis. This is when we started to see the bailout plans. So that starts to give you at least some sort of a context as to why we broke outside of the normal zones that we tend to see, right? Which affected this average still to a certain degree, but when we plot all the data points, you see that we're really inside of that plus or minus 1% zone. And for the most part, we actually tend to close very close to that 0% zone, relatively unchanged. Now, this gives us an opportunity, knowing all of this data after the fact, if we try and boil this down to create a game plan for tomorrow, really for me, I would be looking at fade opportunities. So let's say that the market starts off rallying into the morning, then you're looking to try and fade that and look for a return back to the 0% zone on the day. Again, the ways you can use this in terms of indicators, you can use the volatility box, right? The volatility box is our bread and butter that gives us very concrete fade zones. Outside of that, you could also use the V-score to try and find areas in which you're extended in terms of standard deviation. You could use the cumulative tick to try and find areas in which the cumulative tick is starting to turn and overlap that with the supply demand edge indicator. And for all of our members, you can overlap that with the edge signal, which gives you a very concrete place in which you're expecting the market again to revert back to the mean, which in this case, the mean represents that 0% zone. And for those of you that don't have most of these indicators, you can find them right here, tosindicators.com/indicators. But really, the game plan for tomorrow is fade any sort of trending moves that you see and ignore trying to buy pullbacks into the trend. At least that's what I'm looking at. That's what the data to me suggests, that for the most part, we should be expecting chop tomorrow. If we start to see things like our squeeze signals, if you start to see the squeeze fire in a bullish zone, if you see the markets running in one direction or the other, I'm going to be looking at the contrarian view there, looking at out of the money options expiring tomorrow to try and play that reversal move back to this plus or minus 0% zone, relatively unchanged for the day. Now, if you don't see any sort of running moves, then that's where you don't really have any sort of edge there to try and play some of these fades. But if we do see the markets running in one direction or the other, whether it's the SPY, whether it's the Qs, whether it's the Dow or the Russell, then that again sets up for a very beautiful opportunity in which you can use 20 years worth of data along with the indicators to overlap and find some beautiful trade opportunities. All right, hope this video helps. For all of our volatility box members, again, you can access the entire Excel spreadsheet at tosindicators.com/triple witching Fridays with hyphens separating each of those words. And that's where, if you want to see what happened the day before, try and find correlations between markets, so on and so forth, you can use that. We have the open, the high, the close, along with, I believe, the volume in the Excel spreadsheet, which you can use to try and break down the data a little bit further. All right, take care, everyone. Good luck trading tomorrow. Hope this data breakdown helps to at least have some sort of measure of what you can do to try and profit tomorrow and end the day on a positive note. Take care, good luck trading, and we'll see you in the next update.